Hey, Coach, thanks for taking the time out today.
Thanks, Shane.
We'll start with Dave, and then we'll go to Jeff.
Hey Nick, on those two long Saquon runs yesterday, it looked like Jalen made some checks at the line. How much does he have on him in those situations, and how much has he grown in that part of his game?
Yeah, I think he's been phenomenal at that part of the game, being able to get us in and out of plays and in and out versus different looks. I think that's pretty, that's obviously super important for your quarterback to be able to do that. And Jalen, really does a great job of thinking and doing the things he needs to do to get us in and out of plays at the line of scrimmage. And so it starts with him. It starts with him and Cam kind of putting everybody on the same page. And then it goes down to the efforts of everybody else, to make those long runs happen. I think what you saw on those was excellent blocking up front and displacement up front by our offensive line, but also, you got really good efforts on those two long runs also from receivers blocking. AJ on the second one had a really good block, and then AJ and Smitty on the first one had great blocks. I think the way I kind of said it in our team meeting today, Smitty had, on the first one, AJ gets a block on the nickel, and then Smitty has kind of a textbook stalk block. Like if you were in receiver school 101, you would use that clip of Smitty on the stalk block for the touchdown, and what I mean by that is like stock blocking, there's an art and a technique to it. You have to kind of break down and not get locked up with the defensive back too soon, because if you get locked up with the defensive back too soon, he'll shed you. But Smitty kept space, and then when he felt the ball getting up on him, he locked on and made the play. And so efforts by everybody to make that thing go. Obviously that yardage goes to Saquon, and he's phenomenal, as we've all seen. But it truly takes everybody, and it starts with Jalen to get us in and out of the right play.
We'll go to Jeff, and then Ruben.
Hey, Nick. Jalen Carter gets a lot of attention for his athleticism and his brute strength, but what can you tell us about his football IQ?
Yeah, his football IQ and instincts are very high. He just has a feel for. I think you see he has a knack to be able to get the ball out. He's done that a couple times this year, and hit in the right spot of the football when he's getting the ball out. He has an ability to feel double teams and be able to beat double teams, as you saw yesterday. His football IQ is very, very high, and it takes more than talent to be a really good player in this league. It just does, right? And talent's the starting point. You need to have talent to be a great player, but there's other things that go along with it. And football IQ and football instincts are, high up on that list. And he has those, doing the right things off the field and making sure your body's in shape and you weigh the right thing. Like I talked about yesterday, he's done that to elevate his play. And just loving football, which he obviously loves football because he works at it so hard. And so all those things are why the talent, the football IQ, the love for football, the toughness that he has, being in great shape are all the reasons why you're continuing to see him raise his level of play.
We'll go to Ruben, and then Brooks.
Hey, Nick. It seems like whatever is going on with the offense, Dallas Goedert always shows up, clutch catches. Um, Obviously, I guess 7 games this year he didn't have him. Just how big has he been these last 2 games? I think he's got 8 catches on 8 targets. And what does he mean to this offense?
Yeah, he has a knack to make plays in big moments. That's for sure. I think back to the games that and he makes these really big splash plays too, like where sometimes they're not even for a lot of yards, but it's just so energetic. The physicality that he brings to it is huge. He runs a route yesterday on that 30-plus gain where Jalen throws. We had great protection on the play. Jalen puts a good throw on him, but Dallas did such a good job of getting open on that route against man coverage. It was a really great route and just a defined route. Got into it, stuck the defensive back the opposite way, put a seed of doubt in his mind, and then continued on. And so, and then there's all the things that he does in the run game for us, which, it is so important. Having to hold down the C gap on the back side or on the front side against guys that are huge players on the other team. And so I can't say enough about what he brings to this football team. And you're right, Ruby. He has a ability to make plays in big moments, and I think that just speaks to how calm, cool, and confident he is. When you're confident in yourself in those moments, you shine in those moments, and he's been really good. He had a great game yesterday, run game and pass game, and yeah, he's just been playing good football.
We'll go to Brooks and then John.
Hey, Nick, you guys have performed well against the blitz all season until struggling a bit yesterday. Were the checkdowns where you wanted them to be?
I'm sorry, Brooks.
Were the checkdowns where you wanted to be against the blitz yesterday, or what went into some of the problems you guys had, you think?
Checkdowns, sometimes when you're in a six-man protection and they blitz, you lose your back, so you lose some ability sometimes for your back in the checkdown. Now, there's different ways you kind of scheme things up to make sure you're holding underneath defenders to hit things over the top or vice versa. Guys were in the right spots where they needed to be yesterday. Sometimes you lose the check down, though. Sometimes they cover the check down and something opens up over top. I mean, there's all different sorts of things there as far as that goes. But it's never just one thing when it doesn't go right against the blitz, and it's never just one thing when it does go right against the blitz. And so, but yeah, sometimes you lose that back when they bring the guy that he's responsible for in protection.
We'll go to John and then Ed.
Hey, Nick. Wanted to talk to you about the offensive line as a group. I think everybody knows Saquon's having a historic season. I've heard some comparisons over the past week or so with this offensive line. Do you think they're having a historic season?
Yeah, they're playing. Obviously, anytime you run for that many yards, yeah, like of course that they're the guys that make it go up front. And Saquon's phenomenal, but he can't be great without the greatness of others. And I love that about the offensive line, the selflessness. They don't score touchdowns, right? Sometimes on offensive line, the stats that you keep on offensive line are how many pressures you gave up and how many sacks you gave up. So, like, those are the stats that we all know as an offensive lineman. So it's like sometimes you only get focused on for the negative thing. But I love offensive line. I've always loved offensive linemen because of that selflessness that they have. They're protectors, right? They are there to protect and serve other people. Like, that is like the best thing you can say about a human being, is that you want to do well for yourself, to do well for others. And I just see the selflessness of the group. Obviously, we're highly talented there, and we have really good players and stout coaches' his butt off to get them to perform at a high level. And and so of course, yeah, I see them as having a historic season with the way they've been, being able to send 3 guys to the Pro Bowl, having 2 guys on All Pro team, and that's a result of just all the hard work that they do, and I love when they get recognized, because again, like I said, sometimes you don't get recognized for that. I was able to go to Jason Kelsey's show the other day, and it was what an awesome experience that was. I thought it was phenomenal, and they had a conversation. I don't know if you guys saw it, but they had a conversation on there, like, why do we give an offensive MVP, a defensive MVP, player of the year, but we don't give the offensive line award. And I'm like, man, and I think that was Andrew Whitworth who said that. I don't remember who said that. I'm like, man, they should do that. What a great idea that is. I know who my vote would be for if that happened. If they gave me a vote, there's a reason they don't give coaches votes. I'd vote for Lane for sure, and then I'd probably vote for if I had 3 votes, I'd vote for all our guys. So that's probably why they don't allow us as coaches to have votes on the Pro Bowl for our own team, or All Pro or anything like that. But yeah, just to answer your question, I think they're having a great season, and we want to continue that.
We'll go to Ed and then Bob.
Yeah, hi, Nick. Just to ask you about Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith. We talk a lot about them, but we saw pretty big plays from Mario Ajomo yesterday and Jalen Hunt sacking Stafford. Just their development. It seems they get better each game.
Yeah, can't say enough about those two guys. I think Jalix. I want to talk about Nolan and Jalen for a second. Because when you said that about those two in the same sentence, I think you saw something yesterday of how good they worked a stunt together, and that doesn't just happen because they spent a lot of time doing that together, Nolan and Jalen. So you appreciate the time they spent together in college, working those different games and the what's it called, the connection and the that they have together to be able to work that. But then answering your question, Jalix on his sack, I just thought he gave relentless effort. I think he really has taken to that. He's been giving us a lot of good reps, Jalix, and he started off as a really good special teams player for us because of his motor and how hard he goes. And I can't say enough about guys that play. I'd love to just sit here and talk about how hard Jalix plays. I could talk about it forever and keep giving you play examples. But he has this relentless effort to the football and relentless effort to beat blocks and relentless effort to tackle. And that's what was a result of yesterday. We had a good match in the secondary on that play. And Jalix just continued to hustle. There was a play that, Stafford had to extend a little bit more, and Jalix just continued his approach and finally got to him. With Morrow, yeah, it was exciting that we see him in practice, all the time, just giving great looks when he is on scout team, but in practice when he's on the defense. I'm thinking back to last year of how many good looks he gave us on the scout team of how he can rush the passer and everything like that. And so it was good to see all his work pay off, and he played a good game yesterday, and it wasn't just on I know he's recognized because of the sack, but I think he played all in all a really good game yesterday, in the run game and in the pass game. And I'll say this, to be able to create that pressure that we were able to create in those conditions. I know they're playing under him too, but sometimes it's harder for the defense in those conditions. Our guys did a really nice job being able to create that pressure, when that snow was piled up on them. And just, I can't say enough about our equipment staff, Greg, and our equipment staff of how much detail and how much effort went into making sure those guys had the right footing. And, I asked Greg to write up earlier this week, to write up everything he has that he's ever done for a snow game in his career. And the detail that he came back to me with was outstanding. And again, it just goes to show you, again, it takes everybody. And I'm just so appreciative to Mr. Laurie and this organization that, have the right guys in place in each department. And Greg and his guys were on full display yesterday of how good they did. And it ended up, the pressure we got at the end ended up helping us win the football game.
We'll go to Bob and then Martin.
Hey, Nick. Jalen's legs are obviously such a big weapon for him. We saw it again yesterday. When he's not capable of running maybe as well as he has, how much does that change, and how much do you have to consider that as you put together a game plan? If that's the case, you've obviously had games where he wasn't in the past, where he wasn't as I guess last year there were times where he wasn't able to run quite the same.
Excuse me. Yeah. Yeah, everything's always accounted for, Bob. You try to account for everything. That's your job as coaches, because when you get out there in the game, these guys have to make split-second decisions. And that's us with coaches too. We have to make split-second decisions. So your prep that you're doing all week tries to account for everything that you could encounter, from, whether Jalen can go, run or not, whether it's snowing, whether it's raining, whether it's windy, whether they got, this player on the other side or that player on the other side, or you're without this player or you're without that player. how many times have you played the team, the different things, like all those things are accounted for. And that's our job as coaches throughout the week to make sure all those things are accounted for.
We'll go to Martin and then Zach.
Hey Nick, I was kind of wondering what your level of concern, I guess, would be with AJ Brown. He's had like 3 catches for 24 yards the last 2 games, and I mean, obviously the weather being what it was yesterday probably had something to do with it, and also his knee, but and also in general with the passing game, there haven't been that many explosive plays, with passing, and just kind of what you see is going on there.
Yeah, we're doing everything we can do to win each football game. I think you saw yesterday we were able to win the turnover battle. We were able to take care of the ball in the elements. They had some turnovers that we were able to create yesterday. And so, again, you do everything you can do to win each and every game. And there's going to be a game that we're going to have to throw a bunch, and there's going to be a game we have to run a bunch. And so, again, I wouldn't say I have a level concern of anything there. I know we're able to win both ways. I know we can win passing the ball. I know we can win running the ball. It just so happens a little bit more. This year we've won running the football, and we're in this position now to play for the NFC Championship game, which is special. So I know we got the right people in place all the way on our offense, the coaches, and yeah, just we're doing what we need to do to win each game. And like I said, if that means throw it 50 times, we'll do that. If it means run it 50 times, we'll do that as well.
We'll go to Zach and then Jeff.
Yeah, good afternoon, Nick. How did Jalen Hurts and Quinyon Mitchell come out 24 hours later? And then at backup quarterback for the playoffs, what made you decide to stick with Kenny Pickett?
Again, we'll have more information for you. Obviously, still going through the process of the day here. I know those guys will do everything they can do to be at their top part of their game on Sunday. And so I'm confident in our training staff. I'm confident in those guys. We'll see how that goes as the week goes on. As far as the backup quarterback goes, Kenny played really well when he was in, and Tanner played really well when he was in. So it makes you have tough decisions, and that's a good thing to have. But the entire year, Kenny was our backup, and when he played, I thought he did a really nice job and put us in positions to win games. And when Tanner played, he did a really nice job in putting us in positions to win games. So we have 3 guys that we're so excited about to have on this roster. And yeah.
Thank you.
We have time for one more, so we'll end with Jimmy here.
Hey, Nick, sorry about that. Jalen will throw the ball away when he's out of the pocket, but rarely from within the pocket. Is there a team philosophy against that? And also, like when he doesn't like what he sees down the field, obviously you don't want to take away his ability to scramble, but how do you balance that versus just chucking it at somebody's feet and living to see another day?
Yeah, that's a good question. When you're in the pocket, you got a lot more. Like if you throw the ball away when you're in the pocket and you're under duress in the pocket, and there's nobody there, you're going to get it's going to count as a sack anyway. So it's a little easier. I think you'll probably see more quarterbacks have throwaways when they're on the run more so than when they're in the pocket. Jalen has a unique ability that when something happens within the play concept, whether that is a breakdown in protection, whether that's somebody not getting open, whether that's our coaching error of not getting guys open in a particular spot, whether it's a misread, whatever it is, he has this unique ability to get out of trouble and create plays. And I think what you see is, I think it's easy to look at, oh, he got sacked this many times, or he got sacked that many times, and not account for all the rushing yards that he's had when he's been able to extend. Or, it happened 3 or 4 times yesterday where, one of those things happened that I mentioned, whether, again, was a breakdown, whether it was a coaching error, whether it was a receiver not getting open, whether it was whatever it was, where he scrambled and got a big play out of it and got positive play out of it. And so you're going to have a little bit of that balance, that there's going to be times where they finish on the sack as well. But I know this, like, and it's got to be a balance, right? You can't, but I know how many plays he's made with his feet, and that doesn't mean you just extend and make a play running. It's also the ones he extends and throws and finds the guy down the field. Conditions yesterday were sloppy, as we know. With the way the field was, both teams had to play on it. Their pass rush did a good job too. I thought our O-line did a really nice job protecting. We had a couple breakdowns here and there, but again, like I said, it's always something. It's never just like it's not on, like, when you make a big play like Saquon's run. It's not just on Saquon. It took everybody. It's the same thing when there's a sack. It's on everybody. It's every part. Coaches, players. It's just the greatest team sport there is. You can't pin it on anything. But like I said, like, I know he takes some heat sometimes about taking sacks, but we don't account for all the times that he makes big plays out of it as well. And it's just a unique ability that he has. There's not a lot of guys that have it. He's unique in that, and has an unbelievable feel of how to extend the plays, and again, the efficiency that he's playing quarterback with, and the way he's taking care of the football gives us a chance to win every single week.
Thanks for the time, Coach.
Thanks.